Alright guys, this is the close-up of the pedal, and let's go and break down what each knob is doing. So at the bottom you have the switches to turn on and off each side of the pedal. So if I press here, you will see light goes on. That indicates that the pedal is on. If I have both, you will have both lights on. Let's switch them off. So let me start with the drive side of the pedal, which is the left side, which is from here to the left. And here you have the volume knob, you have the tone knob, and then you have the drive knob, and then here you have the bandwidth, which it controls the EQ basically of the pedal. Let me go ahead and explain what each knob is doing. The tone control is really self-explanatory. This is the tone of the pedal, the tone of the overdrive. So basically with this knob you control the tone of the overdrive pedal, which you have tone knobs on your guitar and your amp as well, and depending on that and how bright or how bassy your amp or guitar is, you can adjust that. So you can have a really bassy overdrive when you have the tone knob on the left, and then you have a really bright and present overdrive when you have the tone knob on the right. Usually I like to keep it just a tiny bit in the middle, or just a tiny bit more than that, so around like maybe 1 o'clock, something like that. So the second knob we have here, it's the level, and the level basically controls the overall volume of the pedal. So let me turn on the drive side of the pedal, and because of my volume is at 0 level, the pedal won't allow any signal to come through, so it doesn't have any signal. But because this pedal is a true bypass pedal, if I turn off the drive, it plays right, and if I remove the power, I still get sound. Because it is true bypass, that means that the pedal won't affect your raw signal from your guitar. So if I turn on the pedal and have the volume, the level on 0, you don't hear anything. But if I start putting some level on, you now start to hear the guitar. This is really effective because you can use this pedal not only as an overdrive, but you can use it as a boost. Anyway, I usually like it to keep it maybe around like 10 to 11, something like 10:30 or something like that. Personally, I find that if I put it more than that, it gets really loud. But you might want that in some cases. For example, if you want to really push your tubes on your amp, you can crank this up and your signal will be really powerful, and you can create some really nice fuzzy tones out of this pedal, which is a really nice feature. But I usually keep it like that. I find that it adds that level, but it's not overpowering, and it's basically in the same level as my clean sound. So here is my clean sound, and this is my overdriven sound. But because I have 0 drive on that, it's basically the same. Maybe just a tiny bit more. There we go. Just pretty much. Let's go ahead and dial in the overdrive just a tiny bit. I will. So you have a lot of options with the drive. It's really versatile. You can go from here, which is the 0, where you have a really clean tone. You can go all the way up to a really super lead sound. But let's go ahead and break it down a bit slowly. So if I go and put it right here around 9 o'clock, you hear that it's not really an overdrive. It's more than like a warm tubey sound. Tube bump is about to break up, and if you're picking slightly, you get that clean sound. But if you dig in, which I find that this position is really nice, because you can be really expressive, especially with single coil pickups, which they are more responsive to your hand. But even with my Les Paul, for example, I can get really expressive with that setup. And if I decide to play a bit more lightly, I still can get a clean sound. And something I forgot to mention, guys, is that my guitar volume and tones for each pickup are always on 10. I don't mess with them, just so you can hear what the pedal is sounds like. But for example, in this case where I have some overdrive, not much, if I roll, I'm on my neck pickup right now, if I roll my volume just a tiny bit, so I'm like at 8 or 8.5, I get a really nice clean sound. But if I turn on the volume all the way to 10, and depending on how loud I'm playing, the sound will change. So if you're really into the early Brit sound, like I guess like Rolling Stones sounds, you can get that kind of vibe if you dig in. I won't change anything to the pedal, but if I play the same riff a bit more mellow on my pick, it will sound something like that. Which in my ears at least, it makes the pedal really versatile and really expressive. Sometimes with other pedals you can find that you don't have this expression, you don't have that feeling when you're playing. So let's go ahead and crank the drive just a tiny bit. I will put it at noon, maybe around there, and everything at 10. I'm on bridge pickup on my Les Paul, and it sounds like that. I love the sound because it's really vibrant, it's really present, but still has a really nice bottom end to it. And I use this setting usually to play riffs, or maybe some chords, like let me demonstrate something like like a riff which is at this point, I will mention the bandwidth. So with this pedal you have the option to mess around with the tone with the knob, as well as cut some frequencies as well. So by this, by having them in this position, so the bass down and the treble up, This is in the 0 position, I guess it's the natural position. But if I switch them, so if I turn on the bass, basically what this does is it cuts some lower frequencies. So here let me put it back on. Let me play a riff for you and you can hear the difference. So by having the option to scoop the bass frequencies, it's really versatile. Again, you can get a really nice present sounds if you really want, or if you decide to keep the frequencies, you can turn the switch off and you will have the bass frequencies as well, which it depends on the scenario you're in. So if you're playing with a full band, like with keys and 2 guitars and like horns and all of that, be able to cut your bass frequencies within your pedal board without having an EQ pedal. I think it's really versatile and can go really far. The same goes with the other switch, which controls the high frequencies. So in this position you have it on, you have it off, excuse me, and then here you have it on. So let me demonstrate again how this will sound. By having that, you can control your presence by cutting some higher frequencies and simply having that to your pedal. It's really helpful because you can switch it on and off really easily without having to dial anything to your amp or change any settings to your amp. And yeah, it's just a really nice feature to have. My favorite sounds though, it's with this both off, the bandwidth off. This is my personal taste, but some of you guys might want to experiment with that and try different things, and it depends on the guitar and how what's the output of your pickups and how, like, what the guitar is. It may sound a bit different. And let's go ahead and turn on the drive a bit more. I will put it on maybe around 2 or 3 o'clock, which we're getting into the territory of really nice tubes over like scream sounds. I will play a bit more lead because in my opinion this amount of gain, you don't really play, I wouldn't really play riffs with that amount of gain, but you can definitely still can do it. But once again, my clean sound sounds like that. So with this amount of gain, I would play something like AC/DC or those kind of vibes. And if I cut some bass, think it sounds really good to my ears at least. Let's go ahead and turn the drive all the way up, which it goes even more. And this is the lead sound you will get. So this amount of gain, I personally would use it when I'm playing types like music like Guns N' Roses and Gary Moore and this kind of guys where they had a lot of overdrive, which you can have with this pedal. Let me turn off the drive side and let's go to the boost side. So again, my clean sound would sound like that. Again, I don't have any signal because my boost volume is at 0. I usually keep it at noon because I find that this is the best volume to my ears at least. Maybe just a tiny bit less. The sound is really bassy because my tone knob is all the way to the right. So if I put it on the around 12 o'clock, you can hear the difference of the sound. Again, my clean sound sounds like that. And hear how the boost sounds. If I crank the treble up, you can hear the difference on the volume, and if you turn on the volume just a bit more, you will be able to play around and see how you can fade it with your amp and guitar. This is the treble booster as well, and you can combine both of them, and by turning on the pedal you now have both pedals on. And this is, to my ears at least, this sound is why I created this pedal. I think it sounds amazing, especially for solos and all that kind of things. I think it sounds really good, and I find that with this setting, if I turn the drive all the way up, and the tone of the treble booster just a tiny bit back, so maybe at around like 11 o'clock, I get a really nice fuzzy sound. I'm on my neck pickup at volume 10, tone 10. I use the sound 90% of the time. So with these settings, maybe just my tone knob at noon, and maybe this just a tiny bit more. This is one of my favorite settings because I can recreate the woman tone from Eric Clapton, which I think with my guitar, which is like not really expensive, like an affordable Gibson, and just the stock pickups, you can create that sound. Again, my clean sound sounds like that. Anyway guys, this was my the Boostache with a Fender Twin clean sound amp.